If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. Fighters Rep 7 Fighting Prides, Saturday, July 27th, 2019 at the Ames Sportsplex in Seal Beach, California. Tickets now on sale at fightersrep.com or watch it live right here on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, we're here with a now retired but very successful in his last fight and in retirement, Chad the Savage George. Chad, thank you so much for your time today, brother. I see you're dabbling in the whiskey again.
Yep, I'm back to it.
Celebratory, no doubt, after an incredible performance, if I may say so myself.
Thank you.
Sitting 3 or 4 rows back. An incredible performance in your last fight. How did you feel about the fight?
I felt great, you know. The guy was tough as nails, and I'm glad it was that kind of a fight. To be honest, I don't know if I would have felt happy if my last fight I didn't have to earn. And this guy's record definitely didn't speak for the level of fight that he brought. And I saw it in his eyes at weigh-ins that this guy was going to come and be ready for war. And he made me earn that. And I'm so happy and thankful that that's the way it was able to go.
So much to talk about with regards to this fight. From my standpoint, and I'm assuming from other people, you've been in the sport a very long time. You know, it was the culmination of 15 years in the fight game. And that's MMA. I mean, you're going to continue the jiu-jitsu competition. Yeah. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. You know, I've competed in wrestling for a long time before that, and I plan to compete in jiu-jitsu as long as I can, and still, you know, obviously be active in the MMA community with coaching and getting my guys ready for the next level and to get them to be world champions.
So, you touched on wrestling. You're obviously a gifted wrestler, a gifted, grappler, especially in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the only first ever, I guess, combat Jiu-Jitsu world champion. And I've seen you do your thing, not only in the ring, but in training. Just an absolute marvel on the ground.
Thank you.
That said, what won you that fight, in my opinion, that last fight, I mean, obviously you finished him with a submission, but what set it up was your stand-up. And I was sort of surprised because you told me going into the fight, let me know if I'm wrong about this, he was a Muay Thai guy.
Yeah, he's actually a phenomenal professional Muay Thai fighter. Yeah. He's got several knockouts, single strike knockouts to his record.
No.
And I knew that he was going to be very dangerous on his feet, but I also know that I am as well. And I've just not had the chance to show my striking in my previous fights. And I knew if I was able to get off first and show my power and my abilities, it could really dictate the tone to the fight.
So, kind of getting back to the fight and what we're talking about here, your striking was on full display for this fight. I thought, basically you finished the fight with you set up the finish with your
right.
Striking. It almost seemed right from the outset that every time you landed a shot on him, he was reeling. I noticed in the first time you landed clean, which was very early in the fight, right off the bat, the first round you landed clean on him. And he just came off as a guy that did not want to be hit by that shot again. And it looked like it really hurt him. Is that the feeling you were getting in there, that your shots were hurting him?
Yeah, it was more, not so much that it was hurting him, but I could tell that it was affecting his decision making.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. If I go in there and I fight, odds are that people don't want to go to the ground with me. They want to keep it standing. So if I can make the standing fight mine as well, it makes them be in uncomfortable territory where they don't know what to do. And I realized that was the case. He didn't want to engage too much into me because he realized I could take it to the ground. Yeah. But if he stayed on the outside, I was hitting him with heavy shots.
Crisp striking in there, Chad. What kind of take me through the finishing sequence? Because what I remember, I was kind of in the heat of the moment. I was watching you throw what looked to be like a fake uppercut and then come down the middle, maybe a bolo punch. I was, I don't know what I saw in there, but what I did see was impressive. Kind of take me through the finishing sequence if you can.
He shut down a lot of my very well-known attacks. I mean, I attacked his legs, he shut that down. I attacked his neck, he shut that down. You know, and it made me really have to dig deep and keep transitioning. You know, one of the things I always talk to my guys about is that if something doesn't work, you have to be able to transition to the next. You can't be all in and blow all your eggs in one shot and not be able to recover. And because this guy took away my best attack, so I had to keep transitioning, and I knew I had to stay on top. Because I couldn't let him build the momentum. I couldn't let him get comfortable in this situation. Okay, I escaped his best thing. Now his confidence is going to grow. I felt it in him that if I gave him any opportunity, he was going to capitalize and attack me. So I had to make sure that I kept the pressure and I kept pushing forward in those positions and not letting him build up. And he was doing everything for it. The last exchange, I think I threw an uppercut that grazed him while he was throwing a kick, and it dropped him. And I was able to jump on top, and I took his back, and again, that's another finishing position I'm very comfortable with. He was able to fend off all my traditional back attacks, and then I did an arm triangle from the back, one that I've actually done earlier in my career, and I was able to get the tap.
Nice. And I noticed in the first round, I mean, he seemed, like you said, very prepared for you.
Man, what's interesting about that, because we only knew we were fighting each other 2.5 weeks. So it almost makes me feel like he might have had a lead-in, going into that, like, hey, there's a possibility it might be Chad George, because the way he was able to fight off those attacks, it was very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he looked in the first round, basically the last, I guess, minute of the round was just you trying to catch him in a submission and him surviving.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he was able to do it, all credit to him. He was a tough guy. I mean, I've seen you in practice, and I feel like anybody you get in any of those positions is not going to get out of that without tapping. He was able to survive for about a minute, it looked like there. How were you feeling at the end of that first round when he survived that, basically an onslaught of submissions?
My arms were burnt. Yeah. You know, they were just full of lactic acid. When I went to the corner, I was telling Josh, I was just like, hey, I need you to shake my arms out. These things are fucking heavy. And he was like, all right, cool, let's get on it. Boom, 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 shake it out, massage, let's go. Man, I remember I asked, I said, what was I doing wrong? It was great advice. He said, nothing. Move on. You know, because I don't dwell on what was already happening. Yeah. Because now, looking back at the tape, I know exactly what I did wrong. There was basic adjustments that I could take that data, and now I can actually translate that to my team and my students. Like, here's why I didn't finish these sequences. And so now we've actually gotten better as a team because of those mistakes that I made, that I was able to dissect and present that to them and now into drills.
And it's Josh Barnett you're talking about, obviously, in the corner, right? Who else was cornering you besides Josh?
So we had Josh Barnett, we had my jiu-jitsu coach, Sean Choi, we had my boxing coach, Jesus Trio, Baby Jesus, and then we had Dominic Clark and Chase Gibson.
Gotcha. Love watching Chase, by the way, and obviously having Josh in the corner must have been, pretty incredible. That's another interesting thing, having Josh in your corner, a guy from a catch wrestling background, and you with such a developed jiu-jitsu background. It's almost like the who's who of grappling, all in one corner. And then the cherry on top with the fantastic striking on display that you showed. I mean, how prepared were you for this fight, Chad?
15 years prepared.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that I told everybody that when I did my interviews and we said, what are we going to expect fight night from Chad? And it's like, well, we're going to expect a guy that's been training 15 years for this. I wanted to be able to display every aspect of my game. I wanted to show that I'm not just a grappler. I'm a striker too, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I can strike with the best guys in the world, and we know I can be on the ground with the best guys in the world. Even when I threw that head kick right in the first round, I slipped off the canvas and missed. I rolled right into a leg lock that a lot of people thought was intentional. And to me, it wasn't intentional at all. What it was reacting to the situation. And I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted people to learn from this fight, is that you have to react, and you have to react in a way that's going to be forward momentum for you, not your opponent.
Well, you didn't just have those 5 or 6 guys in your corner. You had about 300 people.
It was an army that night.
It was corner.
Insane. It was absolutely insane. I think that was the biggest moment for me in the fight. It wasn't even the fight, it was when I came out and that place fucking erupted. I mean, it was emotional. You know, you could feel the energy of the crowd, that this was bigger than just me fighting, that this was truly for everybody that was there. It wasn't just for me and what I've done and me talking about, it's for us. You could feel the energy that everybody felt it was for them as well.
You harp on and on about motivation, about fighting for what you believe in. It's kind of your, it's kind of your calling almost in life, I feel, is to motivate others and to make them feel like, they can do it when perhaps they don't think they can. And I have some personal knowledge of that, of course. You've helped me as well in many situations. Having gone through what you've gone through in the past 15 years, getting into the fight game, fighting for $150, some obscure show in Mexico when you started out, becoming homeless twice, going through everything you went through, and now seeing it culminate into having what I truly believe as a promoter is one of the best academies probably in the world. And seeing that many people come out to support you in your final fight, it had to be, there were hundreds of people there. The announcer actually said, everybody that's here to support Chad George, just come on up. How does it make you feel? And those 10 or so children that were screaming your name and screaming "Savage, Savage, Savage" from your kids' classes at your school. How did it feel to be able to see that and create that and have that ripple effect on so many people's lives? That the night of that fight, especially after you won, how did you feel at that moment?
It was the greatest moment of my life. When I came out, even after the fight, and I saw everybody's faces, like, yes, this is what we are meant to be doing. The greatest thing that has come from my career is the ability to impact so many people in a positive light and help empower them, because fighting has done that for me. It's allowed me to figure out who I am. It's allowed me to overcome adversity. It's allowed me to truly believe that if I want to do something, I can do it. And for me, being somebody that was so self-destructive and such negative language in my own head my entire life, I have learned that if I can do this and overcome this stuff, everybody can. It's just that we have to be willing to fight, and that's why I stand by that message. And I think that's why we are so powerful as a collective and what we are doing and how we are growing, is because it's no longer just my mission. It's truly our mission. And what we are doing is spreading this message, and we are working together and making this thing get bigger and bigger and bigger, that it's not just me. Yes, I was the one out there physically fighting, but all of us are fighting. And to see everybody that night come out and support, it's all of our fight, and we're working on this together.
That fight was almost a manifestation, I feel like, in short form of your career, right? You went out there the first round, you had him, but you couldn't get him. You couldn't get him beat. Your arms were burning, you said. You went back to your corner. Josh told you to move on, and you just kind of moved on and you carried on. And you ended up finishing him, and you ended up with the win. Sort of your whole career in a microcosm there, which is interesting. So now that you were able to get that done and put on such a fabulous performance, what's next for you?
There's a lot of things, and what's next is the building. Now we build. Now it's time to take what we've done and really spread this thing as far as we can go. I've got so many projects on the table that I'm working on. Now it's time to attack them. If anything that I've proven is that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And not only am I going to do it, I'm going to make it be the best thing that I could possibly do. I don't believe in getting my hands on something if I'm not going to fully be all in. And that's what's next. Now it's time to build the next generation of champions. We've got so many homegrown guys that we're growing. My gym hasn't even been open 5 years. We already have several state champions. We've got people that are getting ready for the big shows, and we've done no recruiting. the biggest gyms in the world recruit guys once they've already made it or when they're coming on the come up. We've done no recruiting. We've built these guys from the ground up, and now they are starting to blossom. And we've got so much on the table that I'm excited about growing. You know, I've got projects as far as like nutrition. I've got projects with the gym. I've got other projects with other people. And now is the time to take this momentum and just blow up. We're taking over, and it's starting now.
So, fight game is done. Now this is, you know, giving you the opportunity to focus on all these other ventures you've got going on. Besides the academy and building all these great homegrown fighters that you're telling me about, what else do you have going on that you could maybe share with us?
So there's a lot of stuff. One of the biggest things is the Zero to Fight certification program.
Right.
That's something that took a little back burner when I was always getting ready for this fight. We're getting ready for the next date for this. But what's great about the next certification we're doing this is going to be our combative. So this is going to be for all the people that want to fight. It's a slightly different certification than one we did in the past. This certification is that if you want to fight amateur MMA, especially out of my gym, you have to pass this course, get certified, and then we can start getting you ready for fights. And then this is something that we want to trickle down into gyms across the world. So that's one thing. What else do we got? We've got the documentary. We've got Occupation Fighter, the second chapter coming out. This is all everything leading up to my final fight. You know, a lot of people tuned into the first one, and we had incredible support on that. And now people have wanted to know what's happened since then. And now this fight is... It's the follow-up, the bumps, the bruises that I've had to overcome, the people that are associated and affiliated with the journey now that are going through their own story. This film is going to highlight not only myself but them and what they're doing. There's so many people that are going through the same paths that I've done in my career. It's amazing to be able to share this with them and be able to share their story as well. So I mean, those are two of the big things that we have going on. I've got, what else do I have? I've got some promotion stuff that I'm working on. Man, there's just so many great things that I'm excited about, and the list is just, it's funny because it just keeps growing. And I've really got to be heavy and diligent on my scheduling and project management, but that's stuff that excites me. You know, if I see that there's too much on the table, I look at it, I'm like, cool, we're doing it.
Yeah. So, you know, the academy, you're coaching guys, and coaching is a lot more than just the daily classes you teach.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing one-on-ones with guys. You've got team sessions. You're coming up with game plans for guys. You know, you've got Zero to Fight. You've got all this stuff going on. You've also got your podcast.
Yeah, we got the podcast too.
Of all these things, I'm interested in this at this point because I'm looking to, you know, take advantage of Chad in my own way. Just, you know, I mean that with all due respect, obviously. But what is your favorite thing of all these things that you've got going on the side? What's your Chad George's favorite thing to do?
You ready for this?
I'm not.
I didn't mention it.
I want to hear it.
Ready for the favorite thing? So I'm gonna get married. You know, that's the big one. You know, I am gonna get married. I got a new fiance, and we want to build a family. You know, that's probably the biggest project that I'm excited about. You know, it's something that I have no experience in, and I'm extremely excited to face that next challenge of not only the projects that I have, but you know, the unexpected of what comes with building a family.
And I think, you know, speaking from experience on this one, I think that's going to focus you, and you know, probably benefit you. Not that you need more focus, but it's definitely good, especially, you know, I know your fiance, very strong, supportive woman by your side. Congrats on the engagement, by the way. As you told me, you know, in a text that I thought was pretty humorous, you're keeping the excitement going with the proposal.
Yeah.
I guess besides the family thing, in your professional life, what is it you love most about what you're doing in the fight game?
I love helping people see more in themselves than they did prior to. You know, I truly believe that we can build champions out of anybody, and now more than ever, I'm excited about being in and a part of other people's journeys into their own excellence. You know, that stuff motivates me, it fires me up, and I'm truly, from the bottom of my heart, excited to see people grow and the possibilities that they can achieve with just a little bit extra push. And hopefully my voice and my approach is enough to get them there.
Do you think that this will transition well into fatherhood for you, assuming that that's what you want to do?
100%, man. My girl, she's so supportive of everything that I'm doing, and bringing in a child. I think the fact that I am the way that I am about motivation and getting people on track, I get to do that with my own project. From day one when that child's born, and I think that's exciting because being able to guide somebody from the beginning, I think is something that's so powerful, and it drives me even more.
I think it's very important that your last fight was for LXF and was their first televised event, to at least give you the exposure in your closing out of your career that you deserve. In fact, I believe you deserve more. Where can people keep up with you in order to continue to hear this really important stuff that you're saying? Because you're not only extremely important from a human perspective with your motivational speaking, but I think also, having a career and having something to love, like the fight game, it means so much to so many people. And you've got so much knowledge there that so many people don't have, that so many people will never have. You've got so much knowledge there. It's very important, I think, that your messages continue to get out there. So how can people sort of stay in touch with you? Because it's sort of bittersweet that you got that platform for the very last fight. It's great that you got it, but I feel like you deserve it to be continuous. How can people follow you and hear more about what you have to say?
So I'm starting to get a lot more in detail and detailed structuring on my Instagram. I'm starting to give a lot of tips, a lot of pointers on how to actually unglue your mind, what kind of ways you can build your daily routines. You can follow me on Chad Savage George on Instagram. Mm-hmm. My podcast is the Savage Hour Podcast. It's on every single platform across the board. We're doing weekly interviews. It's been a little off since my fight, but now we're getting back on it. We already have 2 scheduled for this next coming weekend. Very nice. And it's exciting, man. So follow me on social media. There's tons of information that we're going to keep pumping out. I'm going to have videos. I'm going to have instructionals. This is very important for me to get this stuff out. I want to have constant content for you guys to be able to just fill your day with content, so you stop listening to stuff that's feeding your mind with nonsense, instead feeding it with powerful information.
You said interviews. What are the interviews?
So the interviews that we do on my show that are not just about me talking. The interviews that we do, we talk about with entrepreneurs, people that have overcome things, people that have shifted in their life, so their stories are relatable to everybody that's out there. Because I want everyone to know that these most successful people in the world are no different than you and I. These are people that just decided not to quit.
So these interviews are on your podcast, though?
Yes, yeah, the interviews on our podcast.
Okay. Well, there's one thing that I think is missing, and I think it would be a very important part of your career, and that's why I'm here. Not really, but partially. I would love to do maybe a weekly, bi-weekly something with you on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, love it.
Maybe you start your own YouTube channel. Is that something you've considered?
Yeah, I would love to. Listen, content needs to get out there, and the more we can pump it out there, the more people we can affect, the more people we can impact.
So who's bothering you right now?
My food. They're meeting me at the door in 1 minute.
The Savage. So what does the Savage eat?
The Savage tonight is eating Mediterranean hummus, chicken, and jalapenos.
I love it, brother. I love it. Or like we said earlier, jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Awesome. Merchandise. You've got merchandise going too. And I'm rocking the same shirt. You guys can't see me, but I'm rocking the same shirt.
Speaking of merchandise, man, my team was on fire that night. They were in the parking lot slinging these things. Like people were trying to buy it off their backs when they ran out of it. It was amazing.
There was also a guy in front of me that was very drunk, but I gave him a pass because he had a CMMA flag
One
or
of
a
my old
Chad
students,
George
yeah.
flag.
Yeah, one of my old students.
He was a great guy. Just had a little too much to drink though, but he was a good time. They didn't forget the olive oil on the hummus, did they?
I don't know. They're not. They're pulling up right now, so we'll
Okay,
find out. You're
okay.
the expert, so
You
you'll be
want
able
me
to look at it.
you want me to cut this off for you so you can go
ahead and
get
go
your
grab-
food?
yeah, yeah.
All right. And we're back. Just had to go get the Mediterranean food and a glass of whiskey. Thank you so
Had to
much
share
for
a
that.
little glass of whiskey.
Freaking delicious.
Yeah.
A gift from your students. They must really care about you to buy you something
so.
so expensive. So when did the whiskey habit start? Because I don't know too many guys in the fight game that enjoy whiskey as much as myself.
You know, I don't
Other
know.
than Conor McGregor, of course.
I don't know when I made the transition into whiskey, but I enjoy a good glass of whiskey. I think there's nothing more satisfactory than a nice glass of whiskey, a steak, and a good fight.
Any chance that you start your own whiskey brand?
I don't think so. I don't know enough about it. I don't even know where to go about it. I'm way too busy. But I will take a sponsorship.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And you got so many things going on that, you know, a sponsorship might be a smart idea for any businesses out there. Speaking of which, who were your sponsors for this last fight, and just in general?
So I've got some sponsors who've been with me forever. You know, the biggest sponsors that I've had, you know, like Zevia. Actually, let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
All the sponsors that I've maintained in my career are things that I use personally. You know, I've never been big on just saying, okay, I'm going to accept the sponsor because you guys are just wanting to jump on board. I think it's important to have a mutual relationship to where you guys are not only benefiting from each other, but you guys are advocates. You know, so like one of my longtime sponsors is Zevia. You know, I've been with them they've been with me for a very long time, huge supporters, and I love their stuff. I drink it all the time. You know, I don't drink soda. I drink Zevia, you know, and even their sparkling water, it's all phenomenal. You know, I think it's a great transition for people that are trying to get off of soda and just go to a sparkling flavored soda. You know, it's great.
You know, I must say, I never tried it until I joined your gym.
See?
You actually had it in the fridge there, and I tried it, and I remember Joe Rogan even talking about it, right? I think he's brought it up in his podcast and said how it's delicious. You can't tell, like, it's got no calories or whatever. Man, I tried it, and it was so good.
Yeah, it is.
It was so good. I was really blown away by it. How did you get in touch with this?
So I used to, when I was training a long time ago in another gym, the owner of Zevia, as it was just kind of like starting to take off, was a student there. And so he's actually a purple belt in jiu-jitsu now.
Wow.
He's also a Muay Thai advocate and practitioner. So, I mean, he's been training a long time, and now we became very good friends, and he's been a huge supporter of my career, and also some of my guys that fight as well. And he's a huge fight fan, and he knows that it's a big sacrifice for guys that get in there, and the fact that he's willing to get behind, you know, up and coming fighters, I think is incredible. You know, that's the hardest thing about up and coming fighters, is that the support is what they need. And it's tough because how do you get support from a company when you have nothing to offer? You know, you don't have 1 million fans. You don't have this giant Instagram following. You're not on national TV. So how what do you have to offer these big companies?
Yeah.
And so what needs to happen is guys like Patty, the owner of Zevia, is that they believe in the long-term relationship. They believe that, like, you know, that the small guy eventually becomes the big guy. You know, and it's great. It's amazing when you have such a great product that can get behind the up-and-comers.
I must say it's delicious. I'm not even messing around. But anyway, yeah, you guys should try it. What other sponsor?
So for like we have Nawaza Apparel. They've been with me for a very long time. They make all my clothing. We've got Barnana, awesome little food snacks. On it Meal Prep. Steven, phenomenal, delicious chef. Makes all my foods for me. We have KL Customs, Legal Services. They've been with me. What else we have? And there's so many guys that have been a part of the process for a long time. But like. What else for this fight? We had All Pro signs. They made all my banners. In fact, they've done all the signage inside my gym, along with carwraps.com. They've done my car. They've done everything inside the gym.
Nice.
I mean, so we've got so many incredible people that have been behind this for so long. It's, most of my sponsored relationships have been with me for years.
Yeah.
These aren't people that have just been on board for one fight. These are people that have been behind the evolution of what we've been doing, and I expect to keep with them for a very long time, because this is just because I'm done fighting doesn't mean I'm done. This just means that that was the end of one chapter.
Yeah.
And I mean, we still have jiu-jitsu tournaments to accomplish. We have so many different things. I mean, I have events that I'm wanting to put together that I'm going to bring all these guys with as well.
The car wrap thing was your car was very nicely wrapped. I really liked that.
My good friend Tony over at carwraps.com, they do the best work in LA, hands down.
Yeah.
My FJ looks amazing.
No, it does, and I kind of was like, oh, maybe I should do something like this for the promotion.
Yeah,
myself.
man, I think you should.
You said something that's very interesting to me, because it's very interesting to me that fighters don't get the support that any other athletes get. It just doesn't seem to happen unless they really hit like the pinnacle of the pinnacle. You see what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to me that like they don't get the support that baseball players and football players and everybody else gets. What do you think it is about the fight game that hasn't allowed like leagues of guys to get, the kind of support that they deserve, or allow several people to be able to make a career out of it instead of just the stars?
It's easy. Numbers. Comes down to numbers. You have the average person that has 1,200 followers on social media. What kind of return on investment is the business going to get when their product is only getting to a certain demographic or a certain crowd? Like let's say you have a comedian, right? And he's got shows booked across the country, and the venue is gonna, each venue is gonna pay $1,000 for him, but they get 5 people in the audience. Every single show is going to go upside down on that venture.
Yeah.
And fighting is the same way. So it's like, it's tough because it's such a hard game, but yet so many fighters don't know how to market themselves. So many fighters don't know how to actually build. I have guys in my gym that don't want to do social media. I'm like, how do you expect to get title shots? I have some of the most talented guys in the world I had a conversation with just the other day, and he goes, you think that I can get a title fight there? I said, no. Straight up, nope. He goes, but I can beat those guys. I said, I know you can. They're not going to give you a title shot. Why? You don't sell tickets. You don't have a social media.
No.
Not going to happen. There's zero chance of any promotion in the world giving you a title shot if you are not moving numbers. Look at the UFC. If you are not moving the dial, you are not getting a title shot. I'm sorry. They need to know that they can make a return on investment plus some to be able to give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue is. There's so many fighters out there, but only so many that actually stand out of the crowd. They can be the most talented fighters in the world, but if they're not doing the extra bits to get themselves out there, the exposure, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So a promoter can only do so much for you.
Yeah,
you need to kind of
you
take
have
it
to
for
do your own
yourself.
thing.
Yeah.
Because why is a company going to want to support you, invest in you, if you are not even doing the things to invest in you, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Like, if you truly believe in you, you should be promoting that. If I give you $20, what are you going to do with it? Put it in your gas tank? I want to know, how am I going to get my $20? I'm a business.
Yeah.
How am I going to get my $20 back plus a return? That's how business works.
Yeah.
What's the return on investment?
This is a common problem for me and you. I'll put it this way. When I make pictures for fights, I do versus posters to try to build some buzz. One camp versus the other, one guy versus the other. In many situations, guys won't even share it on social media.
Yep.
This is free advertising, and I'm investing. It's almost my way of trying to help them.
Right.
Trying to help fighters sort of invest in themselves is by creating media that maybe they can share and sell tickets, make a little bit of money, whatever. What can be done? What can be done?
It has to come down to education.
In what way?
So there has to be a way of.
Is this something that the camps should be teaching the fighters?
It should be, but maybe the camps don't even know how either.
Yeah.
You know, not just because you got to understand, like, I've been a self-marketer my entire career, right? I've done that literally from day one. So I know how to do it because I've done it. If you haven't gone that route, you don't know what to do, you know? So you telling people what to do is one thing, but being an example for them is another thing, right? I think what has to happen is that each of these shows need to have a delegated person that's in charge of fighter relations. UFC does. Bellator does on the main cards. So all the big promotions actually have those main people that work as marketers. They have people like even with LXF, they had their media guy calling me on a daily basis saying, hey, I'm booking an interview for this, I'm booking an interview for that. Can you do this? Can you do that? That's the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Now, on the smaller promotions, I understand it's tough.
Right.
Manpower, money, right? But if you want to get that return on investment, I think it makes sense to bring somebody on board that has that role. Somebody that can connect with the athletes and explain to them why it's important and find some kind of way to get them moving on it.
So the promotion should be
I think
responsible.
so, yes. It's their promotion. Think about that. If it's the promotion's best interest for the fighters to promote the show, they should not expect the fighters to do it. They should have somebody in that position that is educating them on how to do it.
Isn't it the fighters' best interest to promote themselves?
They don't know how to.
Shouldn't the camps also be
They
teaching
don't know
them?
how to. You have to assume everybody is an idiot. Because look, here's the thing.
What
Here's the
if-
thing.
what if they did
What's in the fighter's interest? Like the fight
Right.
or the promotion?
From a business standpoint, my opinion, I think both. Because
Yeah, but they're not business people. You got to understand that. Most
Right.
fighters are not business people. They don't have the understanding of how business works.
Right.
They know what people have said, that I need to focus on fighting. I don't need to focus on anything else. So they focus on fighting.
Sure. But if they want to make this their career, they need to know how to promote themselves.
But who
so
is
that-
there to teach them how?
Well, I'm all for a promotion.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
Right,
Like,
right. I'm all for promotions hiring on people to teach them. But as
Shit,
you and
UFC,
I both know,
UFC has the UFC Summit every year.
Right.
And they bring on all the athletes, and they actually literally have a sit-down training session on how to conduct yourself and how to do social media.
right, but again, we're talking about the big promotions.
I get it,
The
but
problem lies in the smaller guys, right?
sure.
Trying to get them out there.
yeah.
So
So there has to be some middle ground.
Right.
You have to figure out a way to match that on the lower levels. Because if the big guys are doing that, that's what the expectations are. They're doing that because that is what's needed even on that level. So if you need to educate the best guys in the world on how to promote themselves, what do you think's happening on the lower level?
well, you can look at it that way, or you can look at it as these guys have already reached a high level, and these shows are just helping them along further because they have the resources.
They're helping them along because it's in their best interest.
Well, I think it's in the fighters' best interest also to educate themselves and to get the education from
But
somewhere.
let me ask you this.
Because look,
If they don't have anybody in their direct circle
right,
who knows how to do it,
why
how
not?
are they going to learn?
Why not?
Not everybody has those right people around them. Why is not everybody at the best camps? Why is not everybody learning how to do jiu-jitsu? Why is everybody not learning how to do striking? It's obvious that you need
Right.
it. But if you don't have the right people around you, you're never going to learn how to do it.
I think if you're a fighter, you're a brand, or you need to be a brand.
But you're looking
It's
at it
your
from a business
career.
perspective.
Right.
Most of them are looking at it from a fighter's perspective.
But they need to learn how to do both.
That is why there needs to be guidance along the way. If they're not getting it from the camp, I'm not saying that the promotion needs to
Right.
be like, hey, I'm taking you under my wing, I'm teaching you how to do business. No. There needs to be some kind of a structure, though, that's saying, I need you to post this.
I see
need
all
you to
these-
be on this. Here's the education pieces.
Yeah, I see all these seminars, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Why doesn't Chad Savage George or another one of these fighters that is doing something on a social media front. Now you've got a lot on your plate right now, but wouldn't this be something smart for some fighters that are good at marketing to do? Create a seminar for these younger guys, especially the amateurs.
Seminar is not enough. It's got to be ongoing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff, like, think about this. Here's a perfect example. I talk about this stuff all the time with my team.
Yeah.
And I have to talk about it all the time, because if not, they don't do it. I had a conversation just today that I wanted to see somebody's ongoing scheduling, and then I stopped asking for it because I was like, man, this guy's got it. And then when I stopped asking for it, he stopped doing it.
No.
You see what I mean? So it's like you have to stay on top of people. You have to go on and on and on and on and on until they cannot function without it. Like, that's how I am with all my detailing, all my scheduling, all my media, all my marketing. I do not function.
Is a person who needs to be told what to do serious about what they're doing, though?
Of course, everybody has to be told what to do until they do it on their own.
But you don't think fighters should know that, hey, I'm just going to fight, I'm not going to market myself at all? You don't think they should know that that's not going to give them
You don't think a
leverage?
striker knows that he needs to learn how to do jiu-jitsu?
They do, and some take it
You
upon
don't think a
themselves.
jiu-jitsu guy knows that he needs to learn how to do striking?
So they join CMMA, don't they? Isn't that what they do?
Well, the smart guys.
Well, there you go. So it's the smart guys.
It's the guys that can see outside of the box.
No.
Because the guys that aren't doing that, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how skilled they are never going to get to that furthest level.
No.
It's not going to happen. If they truly want to advance, then they are going to be able to look outside of their comfort zone and be able to do that. But the problem is habits, right? We get stuck in these ways of habits. So then you have to break a habit to start a new habit.
Yeah.
So if you're in a habit of not doing marketing, you're in a habit of not doing social media, it's very uncomfortable to do it. Even with my guys, I've got guys doing new things now that I'm constantly keeping them remotivated to do things. But eventually, that is no longer uncomfortable when you keep doing it. And so that, like, when you have fight promotion stuff, people become familiar that this is what's expected from that promotion.
Mm-hmm.
If they have people that are on top of them with it. And it doesn't even need to be the ongoing guys. Let's say that you have a person in place that works with the main card, or works with select, you know what I mean? Like, but I do think that each promotion should have somebody in charge that is their duty to be interacting with the fighters on an ongoing basis on that level. It can't be the same person that's the promoter. It can't be the same person that's talking about matchmaking. It has to be somebody that is their job.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a great idea, but obviously, for smaller promotions, that might be a little tough. But I mean, I agree. I think a lot more needs to be done on the marketing front in the fight.
You and I
game.
have had lots of conversations about how every show is the same.
Yeah.
That is something that is no different. Every show is the same because they don't have that. If you want to make a change, remember, fighting is fighting. It's one thing, right? I'm in the business of changing lives. And if you add that element to the fight game, you're changing people's lives.
I agree. Definitely something we have to explore. Marketing is very important.
It's everything.
What kind of spurred you to take it the way it should be taken?
I've been marketing myself and businesses for a very long time. My background is in marketing.
Okay.
You know, so I've done business development for branding for years. I mean, I've been marketing design work since I was 16 years old. You know, so I've learned the importance of what branding is. And I think that's the best way to actually describe what proper marketing is. It's branding. Branding is everything. It's what you want the world to see you as, right? Marketing can be labeled as whatever. Like, marketing can be bullshit. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on bullshit marketing. But if you are developing a brand, that is different. What do you want people to see you as? What do you want people to know about you? What do you want people, when they hear their name, to already put a visual in their head because of the brand that you've developed? I can tell you right now that there is not a person out there that knows me or follows me that if you ask them what my message was, would not be able to tell you straight up exactly what it was. Nobody would be able to go, I don't know what his message is. It's very clear.
Yeah.
Because I've been on it for so long. And that's what you need. You need to be able to have your brand so clear that anybody can be able to say, yes, this is what it is. If there is any inconsistency in that, that's where it's going to fall short. So you got to build your brand. It's not just about marketing. Marketing can be wasted all over the place. You can spend so much money on marketing to go in opposite directions.
What's going on in here?
Oh, sounds like there's a fight back there. It's bad marketing.
Well, more fighting, so.
But the point is that if your brand, damn.
Yeah, they're really going at it back there.
I feel like I shut the window. That's crazy. Welcome to San Pedro.
Yeah, baby.
You are. But going back, all in. Oh my God.
Oh my God, dude. This is ridiculous. That's kind of sad, though. Sounds like that person's. There you go.
Wow, sorry about that.
All good.
So, going back to brand development, is that if you are all in with your brand, everything needs to revolve around it. You know, whether you're posting it or you're walking around, there can't be any inconsistency.
Yeah.
You know, if I walk out in the street, my brand needs to be consistent. If I'm posting online, my brand needs to be consistent. If I'm teaching, my brand needs to be consistent. Because that way, it's universal. And that's where you start seeing the growth. And that's something that I learned at a very, very early age as far as my career. And it stuck with me, and I think I've gotten better and better at it as the years have gone on.
I love it, my man. I love it. So much knowledge, Chad, the Savage George. I really appreciate your time. This interview has been really long, and the domestic situations outside are getting a little bit uncomfortable here.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to let you go now, but anything you want to say before I let you go, and hopefully convince you to do this with me maybe once a week or something like that?
I'm all, like I said, I'm all in for it. No, just thank you guys for all your love and support. We are literally, really just getting started. The future is bright, and I can't wait to open door number 2.
We certainly are. Fighters Rep, we're extremely excited to be associated with you in any capacity. I do think besides our promotion, there will be other projects, joint projects between you and us, perhaps sometimes in the future. And I really look forward to it. I really look forward to this next chapter. I think it's going to be bigger and better, brother.
No doubt about it.
Thank you for the whiskey, my man. We'll talk soon.
Click the link below for your official Fighters Rep merchandise and join Knucklehead Nation.